I have been putting off this video for the longest time, but now I am so glad that I'm finally doing it. It's better late than never, right? That's what they say, better late than never. So I am glad to finally be doing this video. So a lot of people have been inquiring about having to come and work in New Zealand, and while there's all this information that is necessary, in the time that I've spent in New Zealand, I've realized that the most important piece of information that I can give to anyone that has caught, the realization that it is possible for us also to be able to go work overseas. And when I say us, I mean that when you from certain communities, a lot of things are unknown to you. A lot of things feel like they're not a possibility because you have not seen people like you and exactly like you get into all these spaces. So now we see that it's a possibility to actually go work overseas as a radiographer beyond the color of your skin. And that has just made me so happy to have people ask me, how do I do it? And if you look at this channel, you see there are videos that I specifically made, because I feel like when you do a video and you put it out on the internet, it reaches like a broader audience, and you don't have to give the same answer to multiple people, but you have something tangible that you can refer them back to. So I have videos, I'll put the links up in this upload so that you can go have a look at those videos. But I feel that above the information, the most important thing that I wish I personally knew, and I like that I didn't know, because then I get to come back and teach other people, to make more informed decisions than I could. Like I honor and I appreciate and I do not take for granted all the hardships, all the missteps, because that means that my missteps as one person, Sylvia, can come back again and help me guide 100 other people like me or younger than me or in the same journey as me. So the most important thing that I wanted to put out through this video was to say, please know that you are in a position. You don't need to ask, you don't need to beg. You are in a position where you have the expertise to place you in either New Zealand, to place you in Canada, to place you in Ireland, to place you in the UK, to place you in Australia. You do not have to beg. Just you being qualified as a diagnostic radiographer means these are the spaces that you can go and work in for whatever reason that is. So I wanted to sink in. I know, for instance, there's this feeling that we have to fight for everything, and that everything needs to be hard, and that we need to feel like we owe somebody something, because no, it's not like that. Moving overseas is not like that, guys. It's literally not like that. We qualified for it. Our skills, our level of expertise are needed here. There's a scarcity of radiographers. So the first thing you need to realize is, yeah, I am the man. I am the man for the job, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do the job, So I want you to do it from a place of like being proud and feeling accomplished, that yes, I get to go and work wherever I want, because this is what this career path allows me. It has nothing to do with the color of my skin. It has nothing to do with where I've been, how I grew up. No, it's just access. It's like my profession is the key that opens up all these doors, and I have to walk through these doors with confidence. Guys, my hope is that we would get rid of inferiority complexes before we move anywhere in overseas. So the minute you realize this is a journey I'd like to take on, I beg of you, get rid of inferiorities complexes. Get rid of thinking that, whichever person did your interview, you owe them. You don't owe anybody anything. If you're going through an agency, the agency that's helping you get the job, you don't owe them anything. That's what they do. That's also their level of expertise. That's what brings them money. That's what brings shelter above their head. That's what puts food on their table. So they're not in any way doing you any favor. So this is the one thing I just like to put out there to people, that know that wherever you choose to be, you deserve to be there. And even when you arrive proud, arrive boldly. Hey, my name is Sylvia. I'm a radiographer from South Africa. I've been qualified for 5 years. And I've done CT, I've done general. I'm excited to be here. Let's see how it goes. Please teach me 1, 2, 3. I'm not equipped with this. This is not the machinery we use back at home. But with confidence, everything with confidence. Because I don't think I had that. But also because I'm a humble person. Sometimes there's that thin borderline between being humbled and inferiority complexes, and feeling like you need to submit to everybody and everything because you're the black radiographer from South Africa. That is not the case. So that is the message I wanted to send out. And I just wanted to link this also with what the Bible says, right? In the book of Genesis, I even wrote here, Genesis 1:28, God literally says, go out and be fruitful and multiply and fill the land. You know, while this also, yes, has to do with the multiplication of generations after generation, but it also just means, man, just understanding that the world is our oyster. The world is our oyster. Like, the world is our oyster, guys. We can be anywhere, whenever, wherever, however, like literally. And I just want this to be your truth. I just want this to be your truth. I just want this to be your truth. That the whole world, irrespective of where you find yourself, that you should never be at the mercy of where you find yourself, but understanding and knowing that I am meant to be here. I deserve to be here. Yes, home is South Africa, but I have ventured here for work. And that's it. That's it. No bigger long stories, whatever the case is, but just to understand that you belong there. And we also have like John 4:38 speaks exactly into the same thing, that you will reap what you do not sow, you know, because God has already made a way. Like, God has literally, and if he starts saying to you, you should consider going to work overseas, I don't think he's sending you overseas to come and be submissive and, you know, inferior. And no, take it with both hands and be like, yes, we're going to do this. But the other most important thing that I wanted to share is that while we have these places available to us, like for instance, like I said, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, Ireland, and Canada, it is so important to research the place you go into. And I mean this, that it is important to go to a place that's going to serve you. You know, yes, you're going to that place to serve your expertise, your skills, but it is also important to go to a place that serves you. Remember, you do not only live for work. So you're not going to be in Australia just working 24 hours, 7 days of the week, but you're going to be in Australia living life, you know. And this life, as much as it's away from home, but in a way still needs to make you feel at peace and have ease in your heart. Yes, the first stages of transitions are very difficult, but I personally don't think that immigration should be difficult throughout. And I think this can be avoided. The prolonged difficulty and struggle can be avoided if we make the conscious decision about the location. You know what they say, location, location, location. So which location in particular are you going to move to, and why, right? For instance, if you say I'm going to move to New Zealand, you need to understand the demographics of New Zealand. You need to understand, what do people have for fun in New Zealand? What do they do for fun in New Zealand? If you are a Christian, how is the faith in New Zealand, you know? And if people do for fun hiking, water activities, am I going to be able to find pleasure in that also? If no, then you need to ask yourself, then how else am I going to find pleasure? You know, if you are a person that loves clubbing because you love Afrobeats and I'm a piano, what does clubbing look like in New Zealand? So these are all the questions that you have to be able to ask yourself. For instance, you say, I want to go to the UK because I don't know, for whatever reason it, but you need to weigh out these places. For instance, Ireland, do you enjoy the winter? If not, you're going to be pretty miserable, and you don't want that, because we know that the role that the weather plays in your mental health being. So just making these decisions that are going to benefit you and your mental well-being. You know, some people, guys, some of you guys don't even like speaking English for too long. So where am I going to move to? Are there going to be other radiographers from South Africa that speak my home language that I can at least communicate with? You know, will there be a community that I can fit into, where I can see a lot of people that kind of speak my home language? You know? So these are the things that you need to consider. If you are a parent, you're like, what is the place that is most suitable for my kids? What kind of environment would I like my kids to grow up in? You know, what is the culture of the schools around this particular country? And yeah, just the small things. But at the end of the day, they're not small things, they're big things, because they're what helps us to keep, you know, mentally healthy, because that is the most important part. I cannot take away from the fact that being overseas is really, really challenging. And the challenge only gets lighter if you're able to still have a social life that is kind of similar to what you had at home, or if you're able to find a friendship group that is kind of similar to the one you had back at home, or if you're able to find activities that you still did back at home, or if you're able to have matching weather conditions that are same to those back at home, you know. So these are the things that I'd like for you guys to really, really look into, so that you don't you find yourself in a place that you move to, you know, because the place needs you, but now you end up being in a place where you're miserable, and it feels like it's not exciting, you know, it's not a breakthrough from God, it's not this exciting journey of going to work overseas and getting to travel. So yeah, please research the place you're going to and understand exactly what it is that you're going into. And in saying this, you don't have to settle for the first job you get, guys. There is a multitude of overseas job available from different countries. You know, you might be saying, I want to come to New Zealand because Sylvia is there. If that's the case, ask me how being in New Zealand has been for my mental health and my holistic well-being, so that I can also share with you that part of things. You're like, I want to go to the UK. Find somebody that's in the UK to ask them not only about work, because radiography is the same, guys, all over the world. But it's like, what does life look like when I stop being a radiographer and just step into doing life as myself and simply Sylvia? The other thing is your why. You need your why, so that your why keeps you going during hard times, but also so that your why keeps you, you know, connected to the plan. It's so important to have the plan. And yes, plans might change. That's the one thing with most of us are Christians. We have faith, we believe in God, and you realize that with God, you can't really have one permanent solid plan, because God always changes our plans. But not to say that we shouldn't have a plan. It's good to have a plan, because that plan will kind of keep you in road, even when it feels like you're out of your breath, like you're drowning and you don't know what you're doing, and you miss home and it's sad and all you do is just want to cry. Your plan will consistently keep you like aligned. I do not have a plan coming here, and that's why I'm like, is it time to go home now, or do I stay a bit, or you know what's happening? So I think like if I had a plan, it would be easier to allow that plan to guide me along deciding, okay, I'm gonna go back home now, okay, this is what I was here for, okay. But if you know my story, is that I came to New Zealand because I wanted to explore working overseas. And the thing with me is I dream because I watch TV and I saw that there was a life outside of my own circumstances. And I wanted to explore that life because I knew that it was also open to me. My faith tells me that all things that are good are also at my feet, you know. And I think with being Black is that, man, we think a lot of things are not for us. We think a lot of things are not for us. We think good things are not for us. You know, we think somewhere in a country where there's no potholes here, somewhere where in a country where there's no potholes, no load shedding, you think for you to be there is this whole big miracle, but it's not. It's just exploring the world that you equally belong to, you know. So all this goodness that is out there, like the other time I was just watching a bridge again, opening and closing, all these small but things that are big to us because they haven't been part of our reality, they are open to us to explore also, you know. So yeah, find your why and let it guide you and let it streamline and let it narrow down paths and let it redirect you into your own pace at your own in your own lane. Because the other thing with coming overseas is you meet people from different parts of the world, you know, people from different backgrounds, different families, people who are just here on a summer holiday. So you need to consistently remind yourself of who you are and why you're here, so that you do not fall into the trap of living the summer holiday mode, you know, with people that are on summer holiday while you are not on a summer holiday mode. So that's why I just think the why is so important. The other thing is how long, you know, how long also helps you to accept when it's time to let go. It helps to accept when it's time to let go. Because I think sometimes when we don't put timeline to things, you know, and not like these timelines of, oh, I should be married by here, but the timeline of, I need to let go now. I have done my best and this is enough. Because with being overseas, it's not like you just here generating money. You here generating money that you then use to survive, you know. So I think once you put your how long, you're able to say, how much am I going to save? How much am I willing to spend? What's the lifestyle that I'll be sustaining while I'm here, based on the fact that I am here for this time and I'd like to make this amount of money. So that's how I think the how long kind of helps you. But also just being like, okay guys, I'm tapping out, it's time to pack my bags now and go maybe to my next location, or maybe just go back home, you know. So yeah, I think the how long part of things helps a lot. I also do not have my how long, and people would be like, so how long are you here for? I'm like, I don't know. Do you think you're gonna stay permanently? I don't know, because I hadn't come to New Zealand with a plan of, oh, I'm leaving home forever and ever. It was just like exploring, you know. And so now that's why a lot of things is just like, but because I am a Christian, I trust God also to kind of guide my steps, you know, and knowing that the greatest purpose for which I am here for is for Him, to be the radiance of Him, whether it's people that I meet in the past, whether it's somebody I get to share a smile with. I truly believe that I am serving while I'm here. I truly believe that I am facilitating people having to see the radiance of God. So yeah. And the other thing that, like I said, it's like way. So just know where in particular, and just know that there's always a way, guys. All these places, not just because I'm in New Zealand, or not just because person X is in the UK and you don't know about anybody that's in Canada, or you don't know about anybody that's in Australia. All these places, I know of 5, all these places needs us. So just find one that perfectly matches with who you are, what makes you happy, what keeps you grounded, what affords you ease, and what helps you bloom. You know when they say that a fish cannot swim outside of water, or they say if a plant dies, do you blame the conditions or do you blame the plant? This is, if you had anything, absolutely anything at all in this video, this is what this video was about. Deciding that I am a fish and I need water to swim. So where's my ocean? Or deciding that I am this particular kind of plant and I can only grow in this type of soil. So where is my soil? So yeah, just understanding that we have these 5 places available. But please, I urge you from the bottom of my heart that you choose one that is more suited for your well-being, for your holistic well-being, you know. And yes, you can choose a place based on money. Like, I want to make money, so I'm going to go to this place. But it also needs to be healthy for you guys, because sometimes you start with a growing bank balance, but you're not happy. So my hope for you is that you would be happy wherever you find yourself, in the place where you will be granting them with your presence and your skills and the good hands and the good works of your hands that God has blessed you with. So yeah, and I am excited, guys. I'm excited. The world is our oyster. So, and just speaking into conditions at South Africa in the moment, my friends tell me that the salary cannot cover everything. Like, it feels like as radiographers, you know, there's that whole paycheck to mouth survival thing. So if you need to come out of South Africa to make money so that you can go back and buy a house and then don't have to worry about rent, or if you need to leave South Africa, like my friend was saying, she's thinking of going away for like 6 months, building capital, coming back and paying off all her credit. That is so good. Like whatever the case is, we don't need to stay in struggle. And that's the other thing with us Black people, we'll just be there holding on to struggle, because we're used to struggling. We used to, everything we get it through struggle. You don't have to struggle. We have now been afforded with this great privilege of being medical imaging technologists. That's what we called overseas, by the way. So we've been blessed with this great privilege of being radiographers. Some of us, when we did radiography, we didn't know that it would afford us this beautiful opportunity to work overseas. But you know what? It does. So here we are. And the doors have been unlocked. Overseas is not just for certain people, guys. It's for all of us too. So you know what? Get those bags packed and just be like, you know what? I can't take this load shedding anymore. So I'm going to tap out a little bit and I'll come back a bit later. Or whatever the case is, like I need to buy a house and this whole thing of home loan is just not working, so I'll go build the capital, come back and buy my dream home cash. Like whatever the case is, like I want to move overseas so that my kids study overseas, and when they're done with their school, I'll come back and retire back at home. Like whatever the case is, listen, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, Canada, what else? What am I leaving out, guys? I can't remember. Australia, these places are calling your name and they're waiting for you. So make that decision. It's not even hard. The stressful part is just the paperwork. But beyond that, easy as a Sunday morning. Easy as a Sunday morning, guys. And I love you guys. And you know what? The same way that people came to explore Africa and found the good of the land and made the most of it and prospered from it, the same way that we can come out of Africa into the world and find the good of the land outside of home and make the most of it and make it work for us. So yeah, love you guys. And honestly, I hope this video kind of helped just put the bulb on in some way or the other, things that you were not even thinking about. You're like, I want to go to overseas, but you didn't have any sense of direction. So I hope that this video gives you that direction. So yeah, and thank you for your time. The new videos, I'll kind of be changing a bit. Like at first I didn't even know what was my niche, but the most important thing is that I wanted to share information about being overseas. But now, man, I just want to talk about the grace of God. I just want to talk about how good God is, how faithful He is, and so that's what I'll be talking about, strictly unapologetically. I'm not going to be doing fashion, I'm not going to be doing all the cool things, but actually God is cool, and I think He deserves for us to give Him His glory and to share His God stories with people around us, and that's what I'll exactly be doing. But yeah, I hope this video blesses your heart, and take good care of yourself.